Washing goes could never. If you want to grow your hair this year, you need to do more braid outs.
It's safe to say we heard it all. Naturals, straight naturals, now blow dry naturals. And while it's always been around but only now has a name to it, it's nice that there's an influx of people who are doing away with the silky straight hair and embracing texture. And out of those doing so, many have tried braid outs. And like with any other trend that stood the test of time, there has to be a reason why people keep coming back to it. So we'll be discussing all things braid outs, why they work for some but not others.
I am not with Metro anymore. I am with AT&T.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. My name's Gwen. For those of you who are new here, I wanted to talk about the style that I have been doing for a while now, but I currently switched it up, and that is braid outs. We're going to be talking all things braid outs aiding in length retention, braid outs on stretched hair versus wet hair, why some braid outs are not fail proof, and how to get them fail proof. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So if you guys aren't new to natural hair, then you know a braid out is a type of style that people do typically on damp, wet, or stretched hair by braiding up the hair or plaiting up the hair and then waiting for it to dry or set, unraveling it after it sets or dries, and then going about your day. Lots of people who prefer to wear their hair in a stretched state like braid outs, and I am no different. Lately, I have been doing a stretch braid out utilizing the blow dryer, and it's worked so well for me. Like with any other stretch style, wash day is super important, and I'm learning that the products aren't as important as the technique, but products do aid in the process. A good baseline for me has been making sure that my hair is squeaky clean, followed by a good moisturizing conditioner. This sets me up for success to receive the benefits of the braid out. And if you don't know what the benefits are, here are a few. Now, if you guys haven't seen my twist out for length retention video, I'll go ahead and link it down below. But braid outs work fairly similar to twist outs. A lot of the pros of this style involve moisture retention. Braid outs typically give you heat-free stretching. So for girls who want a little bit of added length, braid outs is a good way to elongate the hair without utilizing heat. It also works as a low manipulation hairstyle, although it could be high maintenance if you're manipulating it every day. But for the most part, it's a low manipulation hairstyle, which helps to keep your fingers out of your hair. And because the hair is stretched and a little bit elongated, this helps to aid in length retention by helping you reduce knots and tangles. There's also another pro to braid outs, and that is that it allows you to have a uniform look of curls, which is really important for those transitioning either from going from heat damaged hair to trying to work their way into their natural hair, or if you're going from relaxed hair to natural hair and you kind of have straighter ends, tighter roots. It will help you to get a little bit more blend between the roots and the ends. And I think because of the nature of the braid out being a more zigzag pattern like, other than twist, which is more of like a curl, it helps to blend the two patterns a lot better than twist outs. Typically after shampoo and conditioning, I like to go in and detangle all of my hair, part it off in sections, and twist it up before blow drying. I know some people detangle and blow dry as they go, but I like to get it all detangled because I like to make sure my hair is very wet while I detangle. Also, doing it this way allows my hair to kind of dry some before I have to go in with the blow dry, because I do not like to go in and blow dry my hair when it is soaking wet. The Mizani Miracle Milk is the best slip I've ever used, and also in order to get a fluffy braid out, I do like to use light products, not necessarily specific products, but more so lighter products. While I do like the hold and longevity of using stronger hold products, I prefer the fluff of the lighter products. So while we're detangling, I thought I'd touch on the fact that I have tried wash and goes again recently. I am 5 months postpartum, and this time around I told myself, you know what, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna get myself dressed every day, and I'm gonna do my hair and wear it down like I like. Last postpartum, I heavily relied on protective styling, but this time I decided to try different styles, one of which was the wash and go. I figured I have way more knowledge now and to try it out, and you know what, I had a realization. sometimes our hair is just not at the stage that it needs to be in to do certain styles, and that is okay. Most people think the only style you can't do when your hair is a bit damaged or in a certain stage is typically adding heat or color, but wearing it out in a shrunken or shriveled state also can be damaging if your hair is a bit compromised. Let me know if that's something that you guys have noticed, and if there are certain styles that you notice you weren't able to do in certain seasons of your life or in certain periods of your hair journey. For instance, another example is when I had my bleach blonde highlights throughout, I tried to stay away from heat way more because I felt like for me, heat and color on dry hair in a dry climate just did not go together. So instead, I really stuck with braid outs, and I've tried both wet and dry, which brings me to my next point. For a while, a good majority of people were doing braid outs on their wet hair, doing your braid outs directly out of the shower, waiting for it to set. Now, depending on the goals you have for your hair, there are a lot of benefits, but also some cons to doing it this way. I noticed that braid outs on wet hair tend to provide more definition, but it also provides more shrinkage. It takes a longer time to dry, which could be a con for some. However, for those who want to stay away from heat, this style requires no heat, and it also has a way better and longer hold. And be sure to check out this girl's TikTok because her hair always looks good. Now moving on to my bread and butter, doing braid outs on pre-stretched hair. I like this personally because I feel like it provides more volume. When I do my hair this way, I feel like it gives cloud, it gives cotton candy, all the things that I love, but I do not like that this style does not keep a hold. Typically, to get the fluff, I like to use lighter products, and because of that, the hold is not long lasting. But there is a way around this, and it's what I've been doing recently, which we'll touch on at the end. My main go-to style was doing a heatless plait method followed by a braid out. Okay, I tried to do the braid out on wet hair, which is what I see a lot of online. I typically see braid outs done after you get out of the shower, you detangle, you put all the products in that people use, and then you have your braid out. I loved this style, okay, but my con with this style was that after a while, after a few days, I started to see a little bit of tangling at the root. It was similar to a wash and go for me in that I had to use products to hold unless I wanted those tangles. On stretched hair, which is what I've been doing now, and which is what I did even when I did my heatless braid out method, it's elongated more. So throughout the week, I notice I have less tangles. Now, I am someone who, I know this does not work for everybody, and I know it's considered maybe a higher manipulation hairstyle, but I am someone who chooses to plait my hair at night. Don't kill me. I don't detangle every night, but I replait my hair every night. And so because of that, I notice it's easier to work through when my hair is stretched. So I didn't mention it, but I just recently got that blow dryer not too long ago, since I figure I'm gonna start blow drying my hair now instead of doing it the other way. And I must say, it worked pretty good and it worked pretty quick. I also love the fact that it was not super loud. Now we're moving into how I personally have been doing my braid outs and how I like to keep it fail proof. I like to braid my hair in a total of 6 sections, and I do 2 in the back. Before braiding, I do go ahead and lightly remist every section, not to the point of it being damp, but just so that it has a little bit of mist. And then I begin to cornrow. So I don't do single individual plaits. I prefer cornrows because I noticed that when I would do either individual plaits or individual twists, the part that is not in the plait ends up being flat, followed by the curly bit that is in the plait or the twist. Doing a cornrow or a flat twist just helps it to be consistent all the way through from root to ends. Now, one thing that we'll talk about are the cons of braid outs, one of which people say that they can get pretty inconsistent results. And I like to think sometimes that it's because they don't know how the ends will respond. Using flexi rods has truly taken out that guesswork for me. I no longer have to worry about, are my ends going to be straight? Are they going to be bent because of how I slept? Using flexi rods or perm rods at the ends is a for sure way to get predictable results. ends. You also have some people who may not like the look of a braid out on them, or it may make their hair look a bit thinner than they would like. And in that case, I would say try to experiment with different amount of braids that you do. Depending on the type of hair you have and the density of your hair, you may find that you like to do more braids, or you may find that you like to do chunkier braids. After experimenting with quite a few, I would say 6 to 8 braids tend to be my go-to norm. One thing that I've been doing differently is doing one plait to the front and not doing a specific part. I started doing this after I cut my bang and after I tried faux bangs, and I find that that gives me a fuller look toward the front. If you guys have ever used flexi rods or perm rods, you know that the more hair that you put in the perm rod or the flexi rod, the shorter your hair will appear. So I do the least amount of hair left out on the back rows. The sides, I do a little bit more hair in the flexi rod. And in the front, I leave out about half of my hair that goes into the flexi rod. This helps it to have a more layered look. After I have all my braids done, I go in with mousse and I just rub the mousse along each braid and along the ends of my hair. Doing it this way gives me a little bit of hold while not making it too sticky and stiff like as if I were to put it on the braid before plaiting. That's something that I learned. Mousse on wet hair is chef's kiss. Mousse on dry hair, you really have to be careful. So we touched on a few reasons why people may not like braid outs. One being that they just don't like the way that it looks. Now, everyone is allowed to have a preference, but if you want to like the braid out, you just don't, I highly recommend trying a different amount of plaits like I mentioned. Sometimes doing more or less braids can do the trick, as well as trying out flexi rods or perm rods on the ends. Without flexi rods, especially if you have thinner ends or use a scarf, they may come out straight, but with flexi rods, you know that it's going to curl every single time. Other reasons people may not like braid outs is because, to be honest, it can be a little more time consuming on wash day. Along with looking frizzy if you do take out braids before they have set, especially when you do it on wet hair. And like with any other style, especially when it comes to kinky coily hair, if you haven't worked with it before, there is a learning curve. And so some people may feel like they don't really want to take the time to learn what kind of products to use and what kind of products will work best for their hair, because at the end of the day, products that may leave one person's hair fluffy may end up having your hair looking crunchy. Now moving on to the takedown, I normally keep my braids in overnight. That gives it enough time to set, and I like to wear my scarf. With my scarf opposed to a bonnet, I know that everything is going to stay in place. And if you're someone who lives in a high humid area, that's another tip that I have. Try using a scarf instead of a bonnet, because when you use a scarf, it flattens the hair, which gets rid of frizz from the day prior. Now, I don't use oils to take it out, but I do make sure to unravel carefully, not to rake the hair. When I tell you guys that nothing has made my hair turn out better than cutting the bang, I seriously mean it. I used to be so obsessed with having long front pieces. I felt like it gave a certain kind of look. And when I would see it on other people, I thought it was so beautiful and like long and effortless and gone with the wind, you know. But on me, I had to be real. I have an oblong face shape, and so these bangs do such a good job with framing my face. It honestly has made me fall back in love with my hair. Every postpartum, I somehow want a change, and this time I didn't do color, but instead I cut my bangs, and I'm so happy about it. Now, I couldn't end out this video without sharing some tips on how to sleep with a braid out or how to preserve a braid out overnight. So I made sure to include 3 different ways that you can do so. I have personally never tried this lady's method, but it looks promising. I always thought that twisting it back would make my hair flat, but it seems to work for her, so it may work for you. This method works really well for braid outs done on wet hair. I have used this method myself, and honestly, it does a good job at keeping it in its place along with stretching the hair over time. So if you're someone who likes braid outs or twist outs, let me know. Are you a braid out girl on stretched hair or wet hair? I find that people like different things for their lifestyle. And for those who do stretch their hair first with the blow dryer, the reality is that the braid outs do not last long, especially considering what kind of environment you live in. So you always have the option of replaiting, not re-detangling at night.
A lot of y'all have 20-minute skincare routines that you do every single night religiously, but you won't give the same energy or time to your natural hair. So let me show you how I wrap my hair at night so it looks good every day. I start off by parting my hair into 4 separate sections, and I make sure to part my hair where it naturally wants to part. If you force it, it will cause frizz. I just ensure that I leave a little bit of hair at the bottom so that I can go in with a perm rod. I essentially just rinse and repeat this entire process all over my head, and I finish with 4 braids in total. I secure with a silk scarf, and I pretty much just go to sleep. You can also put a bonnet on if you want to.
And as always, if you're someone who does braid outs or twist outs, let us know in the comments if you've cracked the code with how you preserve yours overnight. If you've watched to the end, leave a lollipop emoji down below. I appreciate you guys more than you realize, and I thank you as always for watching.